For those who saw last week's video where I'm building a video to MIDI app, I was using Loop MIDI as an intermediate between the app and the DAW, in my case FL Studio. My application is sends MIDI data to somewhere and it can't send it directly to the DAW because you need an intermediate to just do the handshake in between. So I was using LoopMidi for that purpose. Unfortunately, over the weekend, Microsoft has released an update to Windows 11, which has broken a lot of MIDI tools, including LoopMidi. They've acknowledged this on their blog posts and said, yeah, these are tools are going to be affected. Because a lot of tools are going to be affected by it, and people will obviously want to know if they're being updated or not. Microsoft has an application to run which tells you if your PC has been updated to this latest driver or not. You can download this, I'll put it in the description below. If it has been updated, it will probably affect these applications and they might not run correctly or they might not run at all. It's deceptive because when you open up LoopMidi, for example, it looks normal to from the outside page. You don't get any error codes saying it's failed, but it has failed in my case in the background, so it hasn't actually created the port. It's just telling me it has. Obviously Windows is aware of this and they've told everyone about this, but you have to wait until they update the softwares. The reason why Windows is updating these MIDI drivers and breaking these things in the process is they're getting ready to release a MIDI's Windows application. So this is like a control center for MIDI devices on Windows. There's a long blog post here which I'll add to the description as well so you can see it. So the detail about why they're doing this and how the new features within it. If you know what you're doing with computers and you feel confident enough to do so, you can install the MIDI services as a beta program, which I've done, as a workaround until either the LoopMidi is updated or Windows fixes the issue so it allows the older systems to work. You can download it here or use the controls. So I've done that and installed it, and you get a Windows MIDI and musician settings application on your PC. This effectively does the same job as LoopMidi. So you can create a loopback endpoint, which I have here, and you can create more or remove them. The difference between this one and the LoopMidi setup process is these ones are split into two ports. So you have an A and a B port for each of the channels. So you send data to one of them and then it speaks out the other one. In my case, I'm sending it to the default app loopback A port, and then my DAW FL Studio is listening to the B port. So it's sending it to one and then it's receiving it from another. This works fine. I haven't had any major issues with it. It occasionally locks up in my testing where I'm trying to mess with the MIDI ports in order and shutting down and reopening FL Studio, and then sometimes it forgets which MIDI port I want, kind of thing, and I have to go into the settings and change it to the right one again. But apart from that, it seems to be working okay. To enable this in my application that I made last week, I have added some additional code for a settings page. So I've got a settings tab here now, and here we can select the MIDI port that we want. So we have the default wavetable synth, which isn't the MIDI port, it's just like a default synth based in Windows. And then the two ports that Windows has created, the loopback A and B. So you want to go for the A port in this case. This now enables it to be seen in FL Studio. So if I go to MIDI settings, you can see in the input and output the default app loopback A and B ports. So I'm listening to the B port. So they're classed as MIDI hardware ports within FL Studio. So they are recognized by default in the software. So if I now open up a mod file, So it's picking up the data and coming across. So everything seems to be working fine on this new update. I'll update the GitHub repository with these new code. So if you are running the software and you are running LoopMidi and it's now broken, this is the workaround I've currently got until Windows fixes it or the companies that make these alternatives fix it. The settings are smart enough to know it will list as many MIDI ports as you have available. So if you do have an older version of Windows which doesn't have this updated driver yet, you can select the LoopMidi port from the list and it should work just as it did when I made the coast a couple of weeks ago. But if you do want to change it to the new MIDI format, then they will also appear there. One new feature also added to this application is a webcam feed. If I click the webcam feed, it now brings up the webcam. Obviously all the same settings apply, so you have the circle which you can move around and you can interact with it. I've added in the settings page a option to mirror, so you can flip it. A lot of softwares have this. When you're looking at like Zoom and stuff, you can mirror it and see which one you want. We have at the moment 4 cameras on the list, 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. I'm going to carry on building this out. It's currently just the 4 camera ports that it sees on the thing. So if you have, say, a webcam on your laptop and another camera attached to it, they'll appear as camera 0 and 1, and then obviously you can select the 2. I plan to do the same as I did for this, so it will only show the ports that are actually active instead of just showing 4 default ports, because there was just a quick code to get the 4 in. I've got to run a check to see if any ports are actually live and then put it in, but I'll do that in a future update. Thank you to everyone who posted comments last week. I'm reading through them all and I'm thinking about how I can implement those changes going forward. It's interesting to see how people think you could do it different ways. We'll see how this goes. So if you carry on adding comments to this video, if you have any further things you want to add or if you have any questions you have, please let me know.